On the fifth
beer day of Christmas, my
brew
brew love gave to me.
That's rough. That's a hot mess. You just come in on the 5 hazies, 3 hazies.
Okay, fine.
The fifth of this year's 12 beers of Christmas is Accumulation, a winter hazy IPA from New Belgium Brewing Company. A very timely brew after a few blasts of snow here in the Twin Cities. Our tasting notes in just a second. First, a quick heads up. Tomorrow we have a very special treat for you in the form of a full-on smorgasbord of homebrew, plus homemade treats, smoked cheese, and snack sticks, compliments of Brian Huntley, the short-circuited brewer. You won't want to miss that. Chop and Brew's 12 Beers of Christmas is brought to you with support from Imperial Yeast and our Patreon party people, who are always down to play some rain beer games. Join them at patreon.com/chopandbrew.
On the fifth beer of Christmas, my brew love gave to me
5 hazy beers.
It's actually only 3. Welcome to 12 Beers of Christmas, y'all. I am gathered with 2 of the best, Dono, Dawson. We are drinking Accumulation from New Belgium. Where's my can? There it is.
I'm reverse. Maybe it's not.
So this beer holds a special place in my heart because it's been a beer for 10 plus years. It's recently kind of changed its flavor, but I love that it's always like the hoppy Christmas offering. Like so many Christmas beers are malty, spicy, all these other things, but this thing has always been just like your hoppy winter seasonal beer, New Belgium. So they are currently calling it a winter hazy IPA. It used to be called a white IPA, but I'm here with Dono and Dawson. Y'all, Merry Christmas. Cheers. I miss y'all.
Happy holidays.
This beer smells delicious.
Magically delicious.
It's got dry hop strata, lotus, mosaic, eldorado.
Whirlpool hops, strata, mosaic, lotus, eldorado, and something called mosaic incognito. No
boil hops.
No boil hops.
No boil hops at all.
White wheat and pale malt.
Yep, pale wheat. And then some oats. Oats, according to our friend Abby at the brewery, their digital marketing manager, who was nice enough to answer some knuckleheads on Facebook. She says oats are a big change for this year's recipe, and that's what I want to kind of talk about. So this beer used to be a what they would call a white IPA, and last year it kind of took a slight evolution, a slight left turn into becoming a winter hazy IPA. And I don't know if there's a huge difference, and that's what I'm interested about. But first of all, before we talk about that, what do you guys think of this winter hazy IPA? Would you think this is a nice break in the like malt bombs of winter?
Mm-hmm.
I'm digging it.
It has a decent amount of bitterness for no boil hops, and that's interesting when that can be brought about. Significant hop aroma. I feel like there's been times in my brewing where I've dry hopped and then I get the beer in my glass and I feel like, did I dry hop this thing or did I not? And then sometimes you get these commercial or tap room beers or homebrew beers and you're like, oh, this is a big old hop aroma. I like it.
Really good hop aroma, really nice texture. I don't know if that's the oats, probably part of it, but it's also very drinkable, very well balanced.
It has a green grassy hop flavor in the finish, I presume. I mean, it kind of comes off as bitterness too, but also some flavor. It must be those whirlpool hops, I guess.
I just get a big kind of like danky pineapple, orange juice kind of vibe from the hops.
Yeah, there's even a honeydew kind of character. You know, mosaic, I see that and I think like pine. And maybe that's what I'm kind of getting out of the saying like grassy green flavor might just be sort of like the pine flavor. I don't know. Lotus? I don't know El Dorado that well. Is that more of a dank one?
I think
Strata?
Eldorado's a little more kind of like tropical candy. I was getting a little lime candy as it sits and warms up a little bit.
so. One thing I kind of thought was interesting, I thought maybe we'd crack open and we'll just see if it's a little too like tangential. But so this beer used to be called a white IPA. It was delicious. It was a little different. It was Mosaic, Amarillo, Nugget, and Centennial. So we're not getting into those like newer 2020, 2021 kind of hops. They called it a white IPA and they said it's all about the wheat and the hops. And when I think back on having this beer 10, 5, 3 years ago, it almost makes me kind of think like, was something like this a precursor to the hazy? It doesn't surprise me that maybe they rebranded it and they didn't just like stick a new label on it. They clearly like, the wheat, the oats, the new hops. It's a hazy IPA of what you would expect. But it makes me wonder if a white IPA that wasn't fermented with like say a Belgian wit strain, but was just like a bigger American wheat beer. I feel like that was kind of the precursor to like the hazies. And then once a hazy became a thing, people are like, oh yes, we can totally push this because like everybody can wrap their head around it. And then in the case of a beer like Accumulation, where you have this imagery of like snow, fluff, cloudiness, I mean, this beer was already kind of doing that. So it's almost like an example of a brewery catching on a little early and being like, oh, if we make some slight tweaks, make it even better, now it's this thing that really sells well as far as a hazy IPA is concerned.
Do they change the recipe every year like some of these brands, or not necessarily?
No, it was the white IPA that it was for a long time, I think. And then Abby was kind of explaining they kind of like wanted to reinvent it a little bit. It got this new sweet branding. The can has like a little like measuring stick ruler on the side so you can stick it in the snow and show how much snow you got. So like I think they really like leaned into the style, the marketing, the time of year, wanted to make it maybe a little bit more clear that it was like a winter seasonal by calling it a winter hazy IPA. It tastes great though. I think hazies are this thing that like you really kind of think need to come from your local brewery because of just like the sediment fallout and the just everything about this beer. It needs to visually look hazy, it needs to taste fresh. And this beer, I mean, having come from another state, it's Best by February 27th, which is still a pretty good bit away from now. Like, I feel like it's a pretty good regional, super regional, national example of the style.
Do you think it's quote unquote whiter than some of the hazy IPAs, such as a wit beer is kind of somehow a little bit whiter?
I kind of do feel that way when I looked at it. I was like, it's super
pretty pale.
Yeah, it's like
maybe
it's like milky white versus some hazies get into that like deeper yellow gold. And yeah, I feel like they probably dialed it in for the name and the style that they've kind of invented for it specifically. It definitely seems lighter than light almost. I just thought it'd be a nice way to break up. Like we've been drinking all these like dessert beers and we're about to get into some like other crazy beers. I was like, oh, let's kind of remember what current times tell us is hot. And this beer is definitely in there. I enjoyed it. It snowed one big time in the last week and probably tonight. So it's kind of a nice vibe, y'all.
Timely.
Accumulation.
All right. New Belgium, Abby, for sending us all the bonus information. Appreciate y'all. 12 beers of Christmas. Stay tuned to see what's next. Is it hazy? Is it malty? Is it not even a beer? I don't know.
6 Lords of Leaping, right?
5 hazy beers.
Here we go. Good job, guys.
What, you got a side beer going?
Oh man,
I do, man. It's my night.
What are you doing?
You're like advanced level. That's next level unlocked.
That's hall pass. That's basement hall pass action.
I got like an empty glass and an empty can. No,
Well,
almost.
go get you one of your own beers as a side beer, and then
Don't forget, y'all, tomorrow we have a very special 12 Beers of Christmas treat. Not only did our friend Brian from Short Circuited Brewers send us a chocolate coffee imperial stout, he also sent us a goodie bag full of sweet treats, smoked cheese, and really badass snack sticks to pair along with the beer. It's a legit chop and brew tasting note session tomorrow for the 6th beer of Christmas.